All right, what's goody? All right, so look, I'm right back. I don't know how. I'm probably gonna wait about 2 hours in between each video to drop this, but I'm right back with Fat Electrician Reviews Military Officers. I just wrapped up the A-10 Warthog review, which is the plane with the 7-barrel goddamn missile launcher. I'm gonna call them bullets missiles, because them ain't just bullets. You dig? Them ain't just bullets. Them things got uranium. Them shits made of universe-ending materials. You know, they use uranium to end universes on the movies and shit. From my recollection, I think it's uranium. I think it is. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Or is it plutonium? I don't know. It's fucking one of them. But them bullets ain't just regular bullets, bruh. And they so badass, they call the goddamn gun a stick. That's what we call choppers and automatic. We call them sticks. So, anywho, I'm back with Nick and military officers. Let's see what my boy about to teach me, because I'm learning something every video I'm watching fucking around with y'all. Let's rock.
We got a lot to cover today. I like to think I pick my words very carefully on this channel. That's why when
okay, that dude looked like Doc. He looked like Doc. Is Doc a military officer? Because that looked like a Doc.
I said there's no faster way to get unalived faster than fucking with Doc, I used the word faster. There's weirder and worse ways. Today,
I'm learning something, even though I know every soldier, every fighter, every Marine, they also have their medical packs with them. But for some reason, that just looked like Doc, and I fucking nailed it. I guess I'm learning something, y'all.
Faster than fucking with Doc, I used the word faster. There's weirder and worse ways. Today, we're talking about military officers. If you don't know traditional, there's weirder and worse ways. Today, we're talking about military officers.
Okay, so military officers are just, okay, second lieutenant, first captain, major, colonel, general. Okay.
If you don't know, traditionally throughout history, it was frowned upon to target officers in combat. Then this guy came along and pretty much exclusively targeted officers. After that, it was basically standard practice for everybody. But don't get me.
Wait, are they telling me? So initially, when war was created, it was kind of understood: do not attack the officers in combat. Let them do their thing. We're gonna let y'all officers do your thing. And you telling me George Washington is who came along? That was George Washington, wasn't it?
I came along.
That George, ain't it? Yeah. And he came along and just said, fuck they officers. Off them too? Jorge started that? Y'all telling me Jorge Washington started that? All right. Let me know.
Pretty much exclusively targeted officers. After that, it was basically standard practice for everybody. But don't get me wrong, a grunt officer will usually fuck you up just as good as any of his grunts. He might be the only person that does more damage in his absence than in his presence. While most militaries, when the officer is taken out, they will either surrender or fall into chaos because they don't have leadership and don't know what to do. The American military has a tendency to be what I like to call default aggressive, meaning that with a lack of instruction, they will just resort to destruction. Meaning they're just going to start handing out fucking ass whoopings to everybody. The minute LT goes down, those grunts are just going to look around like, so take out everybody? Uh-huh. Yep. Mm-hmm. You see, the officer is probably the only guy on the battlefield that gives a shit about things like cost and excessive use of force. And you just took him out, so that's not fucking good for you. What I'm trying to say is the grunts got techniques. They got shit you ain't never heard of. They got shit you're not going to be around to tell anybody.
I've seen these images before. This is the, wait. Didn't I just react to something similar to this from Nick? This the same image with the duct tape in the C4, the engineers. Okay, these are the engineers. I guess they're officers too, I guess.
And excessive use of force. And you just took him out, so that's not fucking good for you. What I'm trying to say is the grunts got techniques. They got shit you ain't never heard of. They got shit you're not going to be around to tell anybody else about. You're about to become past tense, it's just a matter of how. Don't get this twisted, you can still end up in the fucking dirt if the officer's still on the field. What I'm saying is the officer acts kind of like a regulator. Uncle Sam's condom, if you will. You see, when the officer goes down, it's kind of like rolling a 5 in the opening play of Candyland, where you get to hit the rainbow shortcut right here. Except instead of getting a head start in the game, we're just jumping straight to all the weird, irregular shit these grunts can come up with. You know, all the shit Geneva never thought of. But to find out the hard way, it's never a war crime the first time. I can't stress this enough, this is not synonymous to only...
That's crazy that war crimes aren't like, and maybe they are, correct me if I'm wrong, but a war crime doesn't become a war crime until it is committed and somebody step back and say, God damn, that was terrible. I know this is war, but we can't just have that shit going on. Yeah, let's make that a war crime. Like, it has to happen before somebody says, yeah, fuck that. That's too much. Yeah, we did too much with that. Yeah, let's make that a war crime. I don't think there's somebody sitting there premeditating saying, I wonder if this would happen in a war. If so, let's label that a war crime. I don't know. Maybe they are.
Only grunts. For example, does anybody else remember a couple years ago when the United States Air Force decided that they needed to drop the Moab bomb? Moab being an acronym for Mother of All Bombs. The bomb that's 30 feet long and 22,000 pounds, 18,700 pounds of which was straight TNT. Bomb so fucking big, the only way they had to deliver it was by pushing it out the back hatch door of a fucking cargo plane. And while I can't be sure, I'd be willing to bet my lunch money.
I don't remember any of this, y'all. Y'all got to fill me in on this shit. Why are we dropping 30 feet, 11-ton bomb? What are we doing?
Which was straight TNT.
Hold on.
1,000 pounds.
30 feet, 21,600 pounds. The explosives were 18,700 pounds of the full 21,600. And the explosive yield is 11 tons of TNT. You got to be fuck. And we dropped this shit somewhere? When do we drop the only Moab I know is the Nike Moab. Look it up. ACG, all condition gear. It's tan, it's royal, it's orange. It's a fucking legendary Nike model. I don't know what the hell a Moab bomb is.
1,700 pounds of which was straight TNT. Bomb so fucking big, the only way they had to deliver it was by pushing it out the back hatch door of a fucking cargo plane. And while I can't be sure, I'd be willing to bet my lunch money that the Air Force officer was out that day and some E4 got to make the call on what they were dropping.
Oh shit, what's an E4? What's an E4? Come on. Holla at me, what's the E4?
Money that the Air Force officer was out that day and some E4 got to make the call on what they were dropping. When the grunts called for fire and reported that there was enemies on the mountain, E4 said something like, fuck that mountain. We'll just get rid of it. Delete. But wait, the Navy also does this shit. How about that time during World War II, when the USS Texas flooded half of its hull to change the angle of its guns so that the rounds could reach further inland, because fucking America. And all this is just if you take out...
Wait, did he say that the ship flooded itself? Hold on.
Delete. But wait, the Navy also does this shit. How about that time during World War II, when the USS Texas flooded half of its hull to change the angle of its guns so that the rounds could...
Okay, y'all been telling me to do something about USS. I don't know if it's this Texas, but from what I just heard, and tell me if I'm tripping, it sounded like they flooded the hull, meaning I'm guessing they tilted the ship to flood itself. They knew if they tilted the ship enough, it would flood some of the ship, but they needed the gun to be a certain angle so that the ammo, so that the bullets would hit inland more. Is that what I heard?
When the USS Texas flooded half of its hull to change the angle of its guns so that the rounds could reach further inland, because fucking America. And all this is just if you take out the officer. Leave the guy in play and then the grunts have appropriate leadership. I really don't fucking know which is worse. Now, all that aside, officers still have a very, very important job. Leading the United States military. And while I've never done it, I have to assume it's like herding cats. If the cats were 185-pound athletes with drinking problems and machine guns. So, in conclusion, if you're an enemy of America, I really don't know what the fuck you should do about the officers, because you're gonna get fucked up either way. Thank you for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to buy me a beer, there's a link to my beer fund in my bio. Thank you for your service. Holy fuck, I'm out of shape.
Wait, right, so, it sounds like my boy was saying, if you take the officer out, you're in big trouble, because now the grunts are leading grunts. Meaning destruction on destruction, but then it goes on to say, well, shit, honestly, even if the officer was there, they like to partake in the destruction as well. So you really is really a lose-lose situation. If you leave the officer there, at least you know, it sounds like if you leave the officer in play, at least you know a grunt isn't leading, because if you on the opposing side know that a grunt is leading the force, the anxiety and the what the fuck is about to happen is constantly running through your mind. Whereas if you leave the officer in play, maybe you feel a little more at ease because you're like, okay, we have somebody with some type of sound mind leading the grunts, so I know they just not gonna do nothing crazy. But then the officer turns around and tell the grunts to do something crazy. So it sounds like it don't matter. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't touch Doc. Don't touch the military officer. If you do touch the military officer, and if you don't touch the military officer, you're fucked either way. That's what I got out of that. I'm out, y'all. Peace.